what nonsense, you know. I can understand. Here the gym, it says SEC authorize them. I've been attending meetings since the COVID, and there's nothing such. People have subjected us in on the gate. You're not paying me dividend. I take a risk to come in here. If I don't have anything to, I sleep at my home today. Why should I come here and be subject to ridicule and nonsense, you know? Come and feed in form for COVID. What nonsense is that? What concern me with COVID? And I have to tell them I'm not going to feed in nonsense form. No SEC that directive. Neither stock exchange. They have no right. They are not medical. Neither Unilever a medical. All they check the protocol. Been established already. Follow it. That's all. So I'm sending a warning that next time the company secretary must give firm and put his own secretariat staff at the gate. Because some of these secretaries are not trained. They do something unusual. That's my point of observation this morning. And some of the other people who have come in subjected to such rigorous, you know, argument and that kind of thing, stuff, you know. With the traffic I've entered this morning, and somebody annoyed me again, you know. That's Wahala.
Thank you, Mr. Okezie. Your comments are well noted. And I think I can appreciate how you feel, but we will take this away for next time. Thank you. I will now call on the company secretary to read the notice of meeting, which is on pages 9 to 11 of the annual report and financial statement.
Notice is hereby given that the 95th annual general meeting of Unilever Nigeria PLC will be held at the Unilever Nigeria PLC head office, 1 Billings Way, Oregun, Ikeja, Lagos, on Friday, 17th July 2020 at 10 a.m. for the following purposes. Ordinary business: to lay before the members the report of the directors, the audited financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2019, together with the reports of the audit committee and the independent auditors thereon. To elect or re-elect directors, to elect Mr. Carl Cruz, being a director appointed since the last annual general meeting. 2, to re-elect the following directors, retiring by rotation: Mr. Chika Nwobe, Mr. Mutiu Sumono. 3, to consider a resolution to re-elect His Majesty Naimeka A. Achebe, CFR MNI, Obi of Onitsha, retiring by rotation, who is over 70 years of age. Special notice having been given to the company pursuant to Section 256 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap 20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. To authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the independent auditors, to elect members of the audit committee. Special business by ordinary resolution: to fix the remuneration of the directors, to consider and, if thought fit, pass the following resolution as an ordinary resolution of the company: that pursuant to Rule 20.8 of the Rule Book of the Nigerian Stock Exchange 2015 Issuers Rule, a general mandate be and is hereby given authorizing the company during the 2020 financial year and up to the date of the next annual general meeting to procure goods and services and financing and enter into such incidental transactions necessary for its day-to-day transaction from its related parties or interested persons on normal commercial terms consistent with the company's transfer pricing policy. All transactions falling under this category, which were earlier entered into in 2020 prior to the date of this meeting, are hereby ratified. Notes: proxy. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, and tenders at the AGM shall only be by proxy. A member of the company entitled to attend and vote is advised to select from the underlisted proposed proxies to attend and vote in his or her stead: His Majesty Eni Achebe, Mr. Mutiu Sumono, Sir Sonny Nwosu, Mr. Boniface Okezie, Mr. Matthew Akinlade, Mr. Gbenga Idowu, Mrs. Bisi Bakari, Mr. Adebayo Adeleke, and Mr. Nona Awo. A detachable proxy form is enclosed, and if it is to be valid for the purpose of the meeting, it must be completed and deposited at the office of the registrars, Greenwing Registrars and Data Solutions Limited, 274 Murtala Mohammed Way, Alagomeji, Yaba, Lagos, PMB 12717, Lagos, or via email at proxy@gtlregistrars.com, not later than 48 hours before the time of the meeting. All instruments of proxy shall be at the company's expense. Nominations for the audit committee. The audit committee comprises of 3 shareholders and 3 directors. In accordance with Section 3595 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, any shareholder may nominate another shareholder as a member of the audit committee by giving notice in writing of such nomination to the company secretary at least 21 days before the date of the annual general meeting. The Securities and Exchange Commission's Code of Corporate Governance for public companies stipulate that members of the audit committee shall have basic financial literacy and should be able to read financial statements. Unclaimed dividends. Shareholders are hereby informed that some dividend warrants have been returned to the registrars as unclaimed, while some have neither been presented to the banks for payment nor to the registrar for revalidation. A list of such unclaimed dividends will be circulated with the annual reports and financial statements. Affected members are, by this notice, advised to contact the registrars at Greenwich Registrars and Data Solutions Limited, 274 Murtala Mohammed Way, Alagomeji, Yaba, Lagos. Dividend bonus mandate. Pursuant to the directive of the Securities and Exchange Commission, notice is hereby given to all shareholders to open bank accounts, stockbroking accounts, and CSCS accounts for the purpose of e-dividend and e-bonus. A detachable application form for e-dividend is attached to enable shareholders furnish particulars of their accounts to the registrars as soon as possible. The forms can also be downloaded from the registrar's website. Shareholders are also advised to update the records with the registrars. All mandates and records updates should be deposited at Greenwich Registrars and Data Solutions Limited, 274 Murtala Mohammed Way, Alagomeji, Lagos, Yaba. Rights of securities holders to ask questions. Securities holders have a right to ask questions not only at the meeting, but also in writing prior to the meeting, and such questions should be submitted to the company secretary via the on or before Friday, 10th July 2020. Electronic annual report. The electronic copy of the 2019 annual report is accessible on www.unilevernnigeria.com and also circulated by email to all shareholders who have provided their email addresses to the registrars. The reports are also dispatched to shareholders via their addresses in the registrar's register. Shareholders who are interested in receiving an electronic copy of the 2019 annual report by email should request via info@gtlregistrars.com. Profile of directors standing for election or re-election. The profiles of the 4 directors standing for election or re-election are contained in the annual report. Live stream of the annual general meeting. The annual general meeting will be streamed live, and a link will be provided on the company's website subsequently for this purpose. Dated 12th March 2020 by order of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ademola. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as it is the custom at our annual general meeting, I would like to give a brief overview of the company's activities in 2019 before we transact the ordinary business of the day. My statement is on pages 12 to 16 of the annual report and financial statement booklet. I will now proceed to read the same, unless you would rather take it as read. Okay, thank you. Distinguished shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, item number 1 on the agenda is to lay before members the report of the directors, the audited financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2019, and the reports of the audit committee and the independent auditors thereon. As copies have been circulated to you in accordance with the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Chapter 320, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and the Company's Articles of Association, I hereby lay before this meeting the report of the directors, the audited financial statements for the year ended 31 December 2019, and the reports of the audit committee and the independent auditors thereon. I will now call on Dr. Goodluck Obi, a partner in the firm of KPMG Professional Services, the independent auditors, to read the independent auditors report, which is on pages 48 to 52 of the annual report for the year ended 31st. Okay, but I think let him give us a brief update. No, but we said we have taken it as read.
You said you will update us
Yeah.
along the line of your report. You didn't see the update.
But the report, you have the report in full. So do we want to take the report as read?
The report has been taken as read.
Yeah.
We are not contesting that.
Okay.
You will update us. Updating means you want to tell us things that are not in this annual report.
Or key issues that affected.
Yes. Because you said that you will update us.
Okay.
With this.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I think there is really nothing more for me to add. Yeah.
It's better that way. He can update us. He's a director. No. He can update us. Let us not play with our issue. But he has given us an answer that he doesn't have any more.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I think we are enjoying the proxy nature of this meeting today. So can I call on our auditors to give us their statement?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the board, and distinguished shareholders of Unilever Nigeria PLC. The auditor's report can be found on pages 48 to 52. Apologies, it's not paginated, but the page after page 47 is page 48. I will also want to take the permission of the shareholders to read certain paragraphs in the report and take certain paragraphs as read. If the shareholders will permit me, sirs. Yeah. Thank you. Independent Auditor's Report to the shareholders of Unilever Nigeria PLC. Report on the audit of the financial statements. Opinion. We have audited the financial statements of Unilever Nigeria PLC, the company, which comprise the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2019, statement of profit or loss, statement of other comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, and statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes comprising significant accounting policies and other explanatory information as set out on pages 53 to 114. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the company as at 31st December 2019 and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended, in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards and in the manner required by the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C 20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act 2011. As I said, I will take the rest of the paragraphs as read, and I will go to the last page on page 52, the last paragraph. Reports on other legal and regulatory requirements. Compliance with the requirements of Schedule 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. In our opinion, proper books of account have been kept by the company so far as appears from our examination of those books, and the company's statement of financial position and statement of profit or loss and statement of other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of account. Signed by myself on behalf of KPMG. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The chairman of the audit committee, Mr. David Oguntoye, is still stuck in traffic. And the next item is to read the reports of the audit committee to members. We have two options. Okay. So we have the option of asking Bidemi to read or to ask a member of the audit committee who is also joining virtually to read. Okay, so let Bidemi read the report of the audit committee.
Thank you very much.
I have to be very careful since I'm in acting capacity.
The report of the audit committee to the members of Unilever Nigeria PLC is on page 46 of the annual report. In accordance with the provisions of Section 359(6) of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, the members of the Statutory Audit Committee of Unilever Nigeria hereby report as follows. We have exercised our statutory functions under Section 3596 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and we acknowledge the cooperation of management and staff in the conduct of these responsibilities. We confirm that, 1, the accounting and reporting policies of the company are consistent with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices. 2, the internal audit programs are extensive and provide a satisfactory evaluation of the efficiency of the internal control systems. 3, we have considered the independent auditor's post-audit report in respect of year ended 31st December 2019 and management responses thereon and are satisfied thereto. Members of the audit committee are Mr. David Oguntoye, chairman and shareholders representative, Alhaji Wahab A. Ajani, shareholders representative, Mr. Kola Wole Durojaye, shareholders representative, Mrs. Abiola Alabi, non-executive director, Amuna Lawan Ali, non-executive director, Mr. Chikan Wobi, non-executive director. Dated this 11th March 2020. Mr. David Oguntoye, chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you move to the mic, please?
My name is Benga Idowu. In the line of the development that we are witnessing, I think the report will be complete by stating the secretary of that committee in the report after today, because those are what we take from this meeting.
Okay. Thank you. It's noted. Thank you, Bidemi, for the report. I shall be pleased to answer questions and take comments which you may have on the chairman's statement earlier presented, and on the 2019 annual reports and financial statements before we proceed to the next item of business. In making your comments and asking questions on the reports and financial statement, it will help to ensure that we give the right answer if you will refer to the page of the report and financial statement to which your comments and questions relate. Members should please be brief in their comments and restrict questions to one or two to afford opportunity to other shareholders to have their say. Each questioner should please give his or her full name over the microphone and state his or her question slowly. Shareholders who are following the proceedings online can also write their questions in the comment section of the online platform through which they are following the meeting. We will, as time permits, read out and answer some of these questions. Are there any comments on questions, please? Okay. Let me take from someone who has not spoken today.
The chairman, board members, regulatory authorities, and my colleague, esteemed shareholders, good morning. To be here today it was a big task in terms of traffic, but we thank God that we are here and that we are going ahead with our meeting. First and foremost, I want to thank the chairman, His Highness. I can appreciate the reason why he's not here, probably because of his age, and the other members for being resilient, because I know that last year was a particularly bad year for Nigeria economy. We have election, we have other challenges, we have the border closure that restricted your exports, and we have the challenge of imported items, as stated in the chairman's report, especially products from China. I think our government has to do something to protect the local industry if this country will move forward. A situation that anybody can bring any junk to this country is not good for Nigerian economy. We are providing employment for people in other countries. And how could we move forward this way? When I look at the annual report on page 79, note 8, the employees' number came down by 164. So those guys are in the labor market. There are younger people coming out of universities, polytechnics, that are also in the labor market. There's no job for them. Those that we have existing job, we are giving their job to people in China and in other places. It's not good for Nigeria economy. Those that are close to the seat of power, that are listening to us, should please tell our policymakers that
to improve our GDP, to reduce unemployment significantly, and to return joy and happiness to this nation, we need to protect the manufacturing industry. Now, having said that, looking at our result last year, I will say it's an Armageddon. It was a disaster. That our revenue dropped by 35%. But even in spite of that, the cost of sales relative to turnover moved up significantly. So I need to understand that bit. Last year, it was about 70%, the cost, direct cost to sales, to revenue. But in the year under consideration, it moved to 92%. So what has gone amiss? We need to understand it. I appreciate that the fact that our finance costs came down, and something that again helped us to mitigate the losses that we would have reported this year is the tax write-back of 2.3 million. Otherwise, our profit before tax of 9.7 billion would have been there, you know, but it reduced the tax write-back, reduced the loss to 7.4 billion. The fact is that you are not going to have this write-back every year. So we really need to buckle up. I know you have challenges, there's no doubt. Last year was really a bad year. We have the xenophobic attack in South Africa. We have a reprisal attack here. People cannot sell, but even then, as board members and management, we are here to manage problems. That's why they call us manager. If there had been no issues, probably they won't need us. So we need to do something about that. For me, in a situation that business is down, to the extent that we are asking some people to go, I would have thought cost control would have been a very key issue. Yes, when I look at page 53 of the financial statement, I look at the admin expenses. When we look at it in total, it came down from 14.7 billion to 13.2 billion. But there are some specific items that I'm worried about. Professional fees. From 159 million, it went to 226 million. Similarly, lease renter, when the business is down by 35%, went up from 173 million to 269 million. So also donation went up from 43 million to 61 million. That may not be particularly big, but I think when we are not doing well, we have to be very frugal and ensure that we try to reduce costs as much as possible. On corporate governance, I want to commend the board in terms of attendance at meeting. It's quite impressive, both at board meeting and committee meetings, and as well as audit committee meeting. And I think we should keep it up. When I look at page 85, note 16 of the financial statement, raw material and packaging that we are holding, in terms of our inventory, despite the sharp drop in our revenue, the raw material and packaging material we are holding in stock has gone up from 7.0 billion to 7.7 billion. There is strategic move behind growing this inventory. We need to let us know. Another thing I noted on that page is the inventory write-off. The previous year it was 498 million, but this year it was 722 million. Is it due to obsolescence? Is it due to damage to our materials or some other issues? And what steps are we taking to forestall future occurrence of huge write-off of stock? As if that is not enough, I look at note 17 on the same page. Trade receivable, the gross, came down significantly from 18 billion to 11 billion, which is a good effort at credit control and collections, because even when you make profit, the profit is not realized until you collect the money. So I say kudos for that. But the worrisome aspect of it is the provision for impairment. The previous year, it was only 486 million that we impair. But in the year under consideration, impairment went up to 1.4 billion. That's very significant. And we need to understand it, why it is so. On page 7, I note the dividend payable. It has grown astronomically from 3.2 billion to 6.6 billion. That is 108% increase. What are we doing to ensure that people are aware that they have unclaimed dividend and they come forward to collect it? It is very, very important. A number of people, they have their eyes on unclaimed dividend, especially regulatory authorities that have been moved in the past that, let's set up, they wanted to set up a bureaucracy to be managing unclaimed dividend, which we resisted. But by the time it continued to grow, I think we are tempting them again to want to come back. Having said this, I want to say thank you very much for inviting me to this meeting. I pray for the board, staff and management that God will grant you the wisdom to take this, our dear company, out of the woods to prosperity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Let's have Madame from the back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All protocol duly observed. My name is Mrs. Bisi Bakari. My name is Mrs. Bisi Bakari. My name is Mrs. Bisi Bakari. Well, the earlier speaker have said a lot, but I will just add one or two to it. On page 7, like he said, this year's result is not an encouraging one at all. But the deed has been done because this annual report is historical. My question on that is that what is the way forward? Where are we going from here? we would like to know. Page 9. Mr. Chairman, as an investor, as a stakeholder, as a shareholder, anytime we receive annual reports, the first page we shareholders go to is notice of the meeting. And what are we looking from there is declaration of dividend. But Mr. Chairman, looking at our annual report this morning, there is nothing like that. We shareholders are not happy about that at all. Meanwhile, if you look at the same page, that is item 3 on the agenda, to authorize the directors, item 5, to fix the remuneration of the directors. But I believe that since we shareholders are not getting anything, directors too, they should have paid the remuneration. Of course, we have attended a lot of meetings this year, even whereby companies paid good dividend. There is nothing like that item on their notice of the meeting. So it's like directors, they only think about their own, they don't think about shareholders. Of course, you tell me that you too, you are shareholders, but there's a way you get your own benefit that we shareholders don't get any. So anytime we don't get dividend, directors too should retain their fees or whatever. Nothing like to fix the remuneration of the directors. Page 13. Yeah, Chairman talked a lot on this. That is under Chairman's statement. I would like to ask that, considering the impact of COVID-19 pandemic as it affects business throughout the world for the first quarter of year 2020, so I would like to ask that what is going to be the outlook of Unilever for 2020 results, if 2019 results can be like this. So what's going to happen to our 2020 results? Page 31 and 32. Okay, someone have talked about that. That is board listed. Page. Page 53. Page 53, where we have statement of profits or loss for the year ended 31 December. Oh, sorry, you have touched that. That is the revenue fair cost of sales. Sorry for that. Page 55. Page 55, no current liabilities. I just need a clarification on this. Under no current liabilities, where we have unfunded retirement benefits obligations. Unfunded retirement benefits obligations. What do you mean by that? Do you mean by our product or what? So I would like to know what you mean by that. The same thing on loans and borrowings. Loans and borrowings. I'm worried that our borrowings move from 3.8 million to 705.7 million. I think I need explanation on that also. Page 56. Mr. Chairman, I think the board needs to look at this very well. That is on equity, retained earnings. I'm worried. Looking at our retained earnings dropped by over 18 billion. I'm worried. From 23.1 billion to 6.8 billion. This is worrisome. I want the board to look at this. Page 77. That is on expenses by nature. Of course, the earlier speakers have talked about the professional service fees. But my concern here is that I would like to know what consists of our professional service fees, because there are some other companies, they would like to put a note to specify what consists of professional service fees. At least if we see that, we will know whether it has grown or not. We will know whether it's worth it or not. Secondly, a year that our revenue, our profits, and shareholders are not getting anything. Business travel expenses, though it has come down, but it's still a lot, 457.7 million during 2019 period. So I want the board to look at this also, because like the earlier speaker said, since we are not, the company is not doing well now, other expenses to, of course, too, we should review them. Once again, thank you for the opportunity given to me.
Thank you so much. I think I can still see a lot of hands up. May I please appeal that we should keep our questions very short so that we can go around as many of you as possible. We are already exceeding our time slot for question and answer. So can I call on Mr. Okezie? I hope you have calmed down now.
I will brief. Mr. Chairman, the interim chairman, the board member, distinguished directors, eminent fellow shareholders, good morning. My name is Okezie Boniface. Mr. Chairman, this year we are considering is a really bad year for Unilever, because then that is a year we have not received dividend. Previously we have been receiving. At least this company have not even paying out all their earnings. I can give that to the Unilever. Than other competitors who also wobbling there and there. And one can understand on their own nature or their own doing business. But Unilever have been transparent in the manner, the way they're doing business. I can agree with that. I also, during the course of the year, spoken to the press about what happened. Nobody's happy or this kind of loss is huge, 7.something billion loss from Unilever. You people are near to the government. You don't speak out. It's only here. What my elder brother said, the people are just deaf and dumb to your regulator and to the government. If we have the chance, you people have, to nearing the government, we'll speak to them. We will talk to them face to face, and we have been speaking out. Why must we producing detergent soap, and we're still keeping importing from China and Asian countries in this country? The government took approach of fire brigade. You close border. And those border wars are fighting to only the south. The north were living vulnerable, and goods are coming into the country. You only target to the south. You block it. Without produce, we can't say to the Republic, we can't say to Ghana what the Ghana does not manufacture. Nigeria can feed them in their over there. This has been the vis-a-vis Unilever, Ghana, within the neighboring country, West Africa, or Ivory Coast. Will go to the road and push these things. You now want to go through the wharf. And before the goods got in there, it's already torn. They have already something else. How can we continue like this, Mr. Chairman? We cannot continue like this. Unfortunately, Igwe Achebe, Obio Fonisha, our schools go to the government to speak out. Nobody wants to speak out. If you die, it's only once. Let somebody die because you speak out. Let them kill you. Well, this time has come that all of us must speak out to the authority leader. We lettered them. And if we claim we lettered them, why we should fear them? They should fear us. But unfortunately, nobody speaks out in this country. That's very sad. Why must you flood in the country with substandard goods? My question I want to add this morning, let's put the part, like my sister said, is historical, the loss. But in this means of pandemic now is where we can make good money. In this crisis, what is the first quarter going to look like? Or second quarter, what does it look like? Well, manufacturing soap, detergent is on the high side. Bar soap, Lifebuoy, which is good to washing hands. Because I cannot comprehend that, consumers market research will spend such a huge amount. What are they researching? It's getting a feedback. How the customer patronize these goods. What is the, is this price? Is it high? Is it low? Because somebody cannot pay 1,500, 2,000 to buy a Omo, a pack of Omo. I bought those in supermarket when I go there. But how many can afford it? We need to get to, the where Nigerian can be, yes, affordable. And manufacture those things. This is what the consumer research you're able to do. But if they tell us they spend 354 million in research, what are they researching? What the feedback are we getting from them? Those money is colossal waste. You must know the opinion of people out there. Their purchasing power, they're able to buy, so they need. And if this price are relatively low, compete with whatever area, whatever those imported, Nigeria will go for it. Because it will suitable with our own fabric. Instead of going to buy on substandard, you wash your cloth, begin to worn out, that kind of things. So these are things we expect from them to give a feedback. The prices are high. Go to price of the Omo. It's high. Out there, how many we can buy it? And we say we're making loss. We can't sell if the prices are high. The chairman alluded to his comment that purchasing power is not there. It's not there with among Nigerians. There's a poverty in the land. And if you go to the open market and the price of that Omo is high, people will resort to whatever means to wash their clothes or do such things. They can afford to buy it. That's the problem we're having. But as a household manufacturing company, we should be able to, even order sanitizers, we should be able to manufacture it. The chairman of the COVID-19, the boss Mustafa, was I read this morning about reading that even sanitizer today is being fake in Abuja and also all over the country. But Unilever can key in. The company like me and Baker today, they are selling a hot cake. In high demand. This opportunity to throw at you to make more money in the midst of this crisis. I want the board to tell us what they are doing, to key in, to maximize this opportunity, to make profit for the shareholders. You don't come and tell us to approve remuneration of directors, etc., etc. Pay the, what they call it, the foreign partners, technical, whatever. And if you have paid the loss, they should also incur for the loss. They should also key in that share are not taking anything. We paid the 1.something billion. For what? And when we are making loss. This is unacceptable. We can't continue in this way. Mr. Chairman, that is my point. I don't want to go other things in, because we've seen the accounts are bad. But let this year make up what we have lost last year, because opportunity is now for us to make more money in this means of pandemic. That is why we can know the real men who can explore opportunity. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Okezie. Nona.
Ably represented by an interim chairman, other directors, both in person and at home, but much more importantly, Mr. Chairman, I also think that on occasion like this, you must also recognize a number of shareholders who ordinarily would have joined us if this meeting was in person. So I also want to recognize all of you who are also probably following this proceeding, in addition to colleagues who are also here as shareholders. Mr. Chairman, I must start on the note of the fact that in the year under review, we have an Englishman who is done over 90 years and still on our table, and that happens to be Sunlight. Realizing that the margarine business has been gone now for the second year. So we lost the Dutchman, but we are keeping the Englishman. But much more of note for me is the fact that I've been fortunate and privileged to attend a number of meetings, even in this trying time. I don't think I've seen the number of shareholder representatives been on a proxy than I've seen in Unilever. I'm not sure why that will be so, because you are doing this in a year that you made a loss of over 10 billion. Is it for us to come and see the size of red? Apologies to Man U, but I'm not sure. But even at that, I think you must be commended. I say that because one of the big challenge for a number of Nigerian companies, they see the retail shareholder. First, they are small in holding, and they probably see them as, oh, they are the biggest challenge when it comes to taking on the board. But I want to remind you, having done what you've done with this number, is to say that no country, and by extension, no company, will see tomorrow significantly better if they don't engage all stakeholders in that business. None. And the reason for that is idea is the one that rules the world. It's not might, it's idea. So I want to continue to encourage you to see how much more in terms of engagement, not just for the few of us that you've called in here, even for a number of persons who probably will not be privileged to be here. You don't really know where the idea will be resident in. So let's continue to engage and engage properly. That's all I will be mentioning for now. But having said that, and having heard the three earlier speakers, the only thing I will be asking, having read especially the chairman's statement, two major lines of distress were emphasized. The first one has to do with fears. In another line, he said stiff competition. And the second one is tightening credit, which he said also alluded to inventory or receivables. So I'll be asking, what have we done differently vis-a-vis what we saw in 2019? And I ask that because I've also seen the first quarter results. And the first quarter result for me is the worst in 5 years, which also means that, yes, I also recognize the fact that 1 month out of that quarter was also part of COVID. So what is it that we are doing differently that will give hope that the 10 billion loss that we saw this year would not be something that will be a challenge going forward? Having said that, I also wasn't certain how to read the top line vis-a-vis the segment of the business that we do. Because if you look at page 105 and 106, food as a component of revenue was 48% in 2018, and in 2009 it went up to 52.5. Don't forget that we had stopped or discontinued Blue Band operation. So I was then wondering where they did come from. But if you then look at the HPS component of the business, it dropped from 52% to 47.5%. So there's something that I'm not certain about. Okay, so what is it exactly was the challenge? Because I don't seem to understand where the problem is coming. Because it's not sufficient for me to come to an AGM and just raise questions. One of the things I try to do, even before I come to any AGM, is to also try to look for the answers as to where the challenges may be coming from. But in this instance, I'm at a loss, and that's why I'm raising it. So what did we do to shift the focus? And why was it necessary to shift that focus to the size that I talked about? I also would be interested as to what I saw on page 83. On page 83, I recognize the fact that we had 2.4 billion disposal in the year under review. But I must also recognize the fact that new assets standing at 5.4 billion in the same year is still in work in progress. So what aspect of our new investment is the work in progress will be likely to be situated in post the pandemic? Mr. Chairman, I did hear the first speaker talk about unclaimed dividend. But I have an addition that I want some explanation around. If you look at page 86, 87, and 88, yes, first I recognize the fact that 2.8 million of the 6.6 billion unclaimed dividend is for the foreign partners. But if you look at situation where we have 1 billion with the registrar, out of the 5.6 billion that we have only invested 2.8 billion. And I'm asking, why will we be asking the registrar they want to invest the money? It's not the registrar's money. Yes, it's not your money. But if I have an unclaimed dividend today, okay, and the registrar is dead, because registrars can also go under, the person I will come to is the company. Why do we have the registrar doing the placement or doing the investment? And besides, the whole of this account, I didn't find anything that says this is the money that we earn from such investment. Please, going forward, take all the monies that is with the registrar, other than the 18 months, pre-18 months, and invest and show the investment income from that activity. But much more of note is the fact that I didn't find anything in this account that gives narration as to our unclaimed dividend. So, Company Secretary, I will want that going forward, that narration must be made. But much more of note is that along that narration, you can also have year-to-year position as to the dividend that you have paid. Because I heard somebody said you pay dividends every time. Again, that for me is not true. But if you do that, it will also help understanding of, yes, historical, but from history, if you read well and you apply it well, it helps you to know which direction to go going forward. And talking about the future, Mr. Chairman, first I will be asking that this proxy AGM, given that we have over 92,000 shareholders, must also go alongside in-person's AGM going forward. At least we've saved some money this year. We didn't rent the big hall. So part of the saving this year, let's apply it next year. Also look for a much moderate cost in terms of holding a virtual AGM along with in-person AGM. That may be one of the ways as well that will begin to address the issue of unclaimed dividend. Because quite a number of persons get alert, so attend the meeting, and they probably will follow up going forward. I also think that for this meeting, that will be necessary that, yes, if we held, if not for the pandemic, we probably would have held our AGM much earlier, given the history of the company and AGM dates. But if we already half year into the year, and then you're asking us to approve general mandates, and whatever that you have done, without knowing what you have done, is a challenge for me. So I'll be hoping that you speak to what you have done, especially in terms of cost of general mandate, so that I'm not signing a blank check. Fortunately for me, I don't have too much money in my account, so even if I sign one, but on behalf of the other shareholders, I don't think we should sign you a blank check. So what is it that we have done to this time so we can have a better understanding in our approval? I also think that going forward, on page 79, and I'll be asking Good Luck. I wish his Good Luck was bigger than this, probably would have paid dividends. But since he's still here, I will ask that going forward, on page 79, the range analysis that you have there is not statistically correct, because what you have there is an upper of 80 million in an account that we have the highest paid director in excess of 300 million. It's not right. Again, I'm not an accountant and I don't know accounts, but the accountants will tell you that materiality, 80 million to 300 million, there's a material difference. So let's spread that range analysis for a better understanding of what our cost is looking like. Mr. Chairman, I will be unfair to the young generation if I don't make any mention of what I saw on page 124. You say one young baby, I'm not even sure whether it's a male or female, as the baby of the year, and you put that baby in one obscure corner. And that is supposed to be part of your major drive in getting the next generation of Nigerians to invest in our company. I don't think it is right. I don't think it is right. I will be hoping that not only will we send an apology to the family of the young baby, but we will repeat that picture, noting it as 2019 or 2018 Baby of the Year. And if we then have 2020 Baby of the Year, we'll also put that picture bold and well labeled. What we have done this year, I don't think it is fair to that young chap. Mr. Chairman, I also want to note that, interestingly, first I must commend the foreign partners, because if you look at page 28 and 29, I find huge Nigerianization of the top offices. Though I didn't find anywhere in this account that talked about exchange program. So I don't know Nigerians in Unilever who are in other countries of the world. But for me, how many years did Rufus, how many years now? We can't find a Nigerian to replace him. I don't think it is right. I mean, with due respect, interim chairman, they have brought you here, I'm sure, because they know that you have taken experiences and knowledge post-university education from places that you have worked in to the point that you became the CEO. I'm sure the same thing you also did. That's why you had Peter Side also come on our board. The more Nigerians that we get to expose, it's not sufficient to say, I'm an executive director. Oh, I also find vice chairman. Those of them who are in Ghana, I wonder what the president, what they will be doing to the president of the country, so if they are vice chairman in Nigeria and Ghana. But it's important that we begin to look at policies that will help to make sure that the Nigerians are also taking position. I also know you, interim chairman. You are likely to give me answers like, oh, in US, a number of the CEOs are coming from the Asian countries. Okay? US and Nigeria are not at par. If you give me instances of CEOs in China, CEOs in India who are non-Indian and non-Chinese, even in Japan, then I begin to understand it. It's important because part of the challenge that the first speaker talked about is that if we don't have young men and women who are groomed through the process to get to the top, the chances of we being able to influence political decision becomes a challenge. Okay, so this is something I think that we must also do. Why I'm hoping that, Chairman, that we also talk around the issue of the support that we are giving some segment of our operation. I expect to find in this account a relationship with states that are producing tea. Okay, so we don't continue to have tea from Shillong. Okay, so what are we doing with the local producers so we can also find? On the final note, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to talk about the impairment of the 1.3 billion that has been talked about. But if we paid trademark of 1.5 in a year that our 10 billion loss is the worst in the history of the company, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't have had a bonus in the year under review. I don't see any reason. And if you're in doubt, the last time a bonus was given was 14 years ago. 14 years ago. That itself will have meant that the board understood the pain of the small shareholders. Interestingly, Unilever, as a company, has had its parent company even buy from Nigerians. So the more shares you create, okay, as part of the compensation, I think the better it will have been for all of us. And it's on that note, Mr. Chairman, that I will want us to appreciate the efforts that Peter Side has put in into helping us. Yao had to leave, I'm told, head ground. We should also appreciate them. And I'm hoping that come next year, because I find something on page 26 here, let's begin to disclose the exit clause. So we don't just see figures, okay? We will be able to understand how those figures are coming about Again, on behalf of the other shareholders who are here, like I mentioned earlier, I want to thank you for inviting us, and I'm hoping that at the end of this exercise, we'll have also made contribution that will help to give shape to the direction that you need to go to next. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My names are Adebayo Adetunji Adeleke, and I want to align with all the previous speakers so that we can maximize the time and not necessarily repeat ourselves. First, let me congratulate Unilever for weathering the storm of the year 2019. When you read certain things in this account, your faith is likely to shake, because if 2019 was a challenge, you begin to wonder what word you will use to describe the year 2020. And I recall the words of the scriptures that says, if the foot soldiers weary you, what will you do when the horsemen come? I think the year 2019 was the year of the foot soldiers for Unilever. And in 2020, we are now going to contend with horsemen in the name of COVID-19 and its consequences. And so I think there's a greater challenge ahead of us than where we are coming from. Well, let me commend the company secretariat. I think they did quite a fantastic job in trying to put this AGM together, reaching out to shareholders. Bidemi and our team, I think you did very well, and we need to put that on records. Mr. Chairman, if you look at our company profile on page 5, which is where I think we need to have a global picture of where we're coming from and where we are today and probably where we're going to be tomorrow. You will see in the second paragraph that even though we started this business as a soap-making business around 1923, talking about Unilever Nigeria, today it is and when things were changing, they were not changing with the time. So the people don't have the capacity to continue to buy this milk. Can you produce something a little bit smaller that people could use on the go? They were reluctant. What was the consequences? Somebody came from somewhere and said, cowbell, our milk, and took over the market by producing the sachet that they refused to produce. I think we just need to continue to follow the market
if we cannot even go ahead of that market. And so I will be urging management, the dollar exchange, the COVID challenge, the closure of the border, the opening of the border, how competitive are we? And what are we doing to retain this market? Because it's extremely very, very key as far as we are concerned. Mr. Chairman, one of the key issues I think we also need to face as a company is how are we getting ready for the challenges of the future? If you look at this account, on page 117, Mr. Chairman, you will discover that for 42 years, we didn't make any effort to put extra 1 kobo into this business. From 1976 to just the right issue that we did a couple of years ago. Mr. Chairman, I know you worked for a dollar company. Well, in 1976, I could recall, I say you worked. In 1976, I could recall when my sister was going to do a Cambridge exam, that the dollar was 78 kobo. 78 kobo. The naira was stronger than the dollar. Today, 470 naira to $1. And so if we have a business and we're milking that business for 42 consistent years without putting back into that business, I think the effect of those cumulative years of neglecting the business and providing for the future is what is hitting us now. That is the way I see it. So when we look at the account, we should also look at what have we actually done to preserve this company against these challenges that are forthcoming. And that is why I started by saying, even the good book says, if you are fighting with foot soldiers and they weary you, by the time the horsemen will come to challenge you, what are you going to do? So I will leave that at the doorstep of management and the board. Let us see how we can continue to think strategically ahead before those challenges will come. On page, let me leave that one. On page 20, which I want to combine with page 9, which is the agenda page, I can see that the Obi of Onitsha, the chairman, is seeking re-election, and you have disclosed that he's over the age of 70. For as long as I can recall, in the past recent years, he has always been above 70. What I don't know is whether he's not above 80. Well, I say I don't know, so thank you very much for supplying that information. But the key thing is that he's been on this board for 17 years, okay? And now we have a new code of corporate governance that stipulates tenure for independent non-executive directors and left the board to determine the tenure of non-executive directors, but says it must be within a reasonable time. And so I will be asking the question, riding on this re-election bid, that what is the board succession policy? What is the tenure of non-executive directors? Mr. Chairman, I've read the biography or biodata of all the directors of our company. None of them happen to have gone to school to read history. None of them. But what I can say here is that as a student of history, the amalgamation of Nigeria happened in the year 2014, or thereabout. Am I right? 1914, sorry. Oh, it couldn't have been 2014. How about 1914. The consequences of those amalgamations are still with us, both in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole. The issues
are that no matter how fierce a dog is, it cannot man 2 households. That is the saying of our elders. No matter how fierce a dog is, it cannot man 2 households. So since we don't have student of history on the board, but you can at least record the date of the amalgamation much more correctly, I don't know when we amalgamated Nigeria and Ghana, such that our managing director is managing both Nigeria and Ghana. Our company secretary is managing both Nigeria and Ghana. Was it at United Nations, UNESCO, or which platform that we consummated this amalgamation? Thank you, and God bless you.
I think, will you support if we say this will be the last question? Okay. Okay. I'm just checking.
Mr. Chairman of this AGM, distinguished directors both here and outside watching, very distinguished fellow shareholders. I'm not going to repeat so much of what had been said, but for the benefit of emphasizing on issues, some of this will still come up. But I want to take us on pictorial, on page product brand, on page 3. Now, I want us to look at Lifebuoy as a product, Lifebuoy. And the description given to Lifebuoy here, sorry, my name is Sonny Wosu. I'm the Emeritus National Coordinator of Independent Shareholders Association. The description given to Lifebuoy here is telling something that practically the history of products and the history of money, whether it's useful in your pocket or not. So by the time that was taken away, I don't want to mention the manufacturer at that time. I believe the historians here will know the manufacturer. It really hit on the balance sheet of that company. Our belief is that once it hit on the other balance sheet, it will boil the balance sheet here. So, like Benga just said that, yes, that's the area he was going to go. You see that we're not actually getting the benefit that the shareholders will expect that we get from this seasoning. Today, there's also a competitor whose product, one single product, keep the life of the company going. And at the end of second quarter, we go home with a huge amount of money, depending on your investment in that company. And at the end of the year, it continued to be the biggest payer of dividend when you compare with quoted investment on Nigerian Stock Exchange. And I believe that we have the technicality, we have everything to support these products, even though we have so many manufacturers outside now, but they cannot have the ability to support the products like we have. So my question will now be, what is really happening? What is competition? And what edges competition? It's for you to ensure that your product attains a very high standard, which means anybody we see it as the first choice of product to buy. Now, let me also go to another pictorial where one of the speakers talked about the toddler here. If you look at the whole picture here, 1, 2, 3, turn to the next page. The only aspect of this pictorial that shows that the corporate institution is the D at the board, the picture of the board members at an AGM. Were you alone at that AGM? Were you alone at that AGM? Shareholders are to give you support, if nothing else. One of the sections of the picture should have been given to shareholders in this annual report. Mr. Chairman of this meeting, I also looked at this page 117. It has been burning my desire to speak, and luckily one of us spoke about it. Now, if we are not getting dividend, the technical partners will be going away with 1.5 billion naira, assuming that is part of operation. Why can't us also think of giving the shareholders something to go away with? It's very important, little things. Although, at the end of the day, it is the same shareholders that will trade their shares and get the highest capitalization for the company. The shares of Unilever will never be traded except there is a distress. It is framed and hung somewhere in the head office. It is we, with 10 shares, 20 shares, that give you the capitalization that you are boasting of. And therefore, we must ensure that we apply a common thing that will help everybody. Now, on unclaimed dividend, we have a summary here which shows unclaimed dividend, the reduction, and every other thing about it. If we take page 87 and 88, before then there was something where they told us that unclaimed dividend is 991. In another segment, they told us that unclaimed dividend is 665. That's a follow-up of the transaction on unclaimed dividend. And there is also a section of that where an interest is attached. But that interest, I have to ask a question. The interest itself, is it from the unclaimed dividend? Or where is the interest from? I'm trying to get this out. I'm sure Bidemi would have gotten that. On page 86, 87, and 88, there are a lot of things around unclaimed dividend. But my opinion in unclaimed dividend differs. My opinion is that once money is paid, it actually belongs to shareholders. And the domicile factor of it is for shareholders to go to the registrars to ask for their money. Take, for instance, what has happened today. How many of the shareholders can come into this premise? It's not possible. Where do we go for our dividend? It's to the registrars to ask for our dividend. Whichever you look at it, there is a risk on it. There are companies that have closed up today that we had unclaimed dividend. You can't get it. You can't even locate where the companies are domiciled. So, and the safest one is to go to the registrars to ask for your dividend. In fact, I'm also of the opinion that the registrars do not have to return any money to any company until after 12 years. I am a victim of 12 years where my dividend was returned back to the company. And that is the law. What happened with SEC at that time was not with a clear mind. And we have asked them, why should they take such a decision? The money does not belong to the company. And like the speaker, one of us said, whichever way you go, whether to the registrar and it goes bust or to the company, those are part of the risk. But the fact remains that we will not allow government to take that money. It's actually been suggested that they should use unclaimed dividend to fight coronavirus. Just like they said that companies should not pay dividend this year, to use it to fall back on the effect of coronavirus. And we said, let the issue of coronavirus happen and let's trade within the period of coronavirus and see what we've done using what belonged to shareholders to take care of coronavirus. We rejected it. And I thought that that was why Lever Brothers refused to pay dividend. But on looking at the turnover itself, and you will see a paper sent to you, the question is, what has happened? How can we get off this, of what happened? Because if we made 92 billion naira the upper year, and now we are considering 60 billion naira, there's serious difference within it. If I'm right, that should be about 33 or 35% difference, which does not help the administrative expenses. Because the administrative expenses only came down about 1 billion naira. The same race that we are running is the same race we run to get to the 60 billion. If the market had been smooth, we probably will make 100 million with the same amount of money. So, Mr. Chairman, I think there is need for you also to educate us on the way our business in Northeast, is it Northwest? No, Northeast. The other side is Northwest. Is faring now, or you let us know what has happened in the last 6 months so that we'll be able to educate our expectant fellow shareholders, because a lot is being expected. Mr. Chairman, I share everything that my fellow shareholders had said, and I just want to add my voice in appreciating Atedo Peterside and Yao. Please extend our appreciation to them, and also to welcome the new managing director. I wish he would be here and listen to the voices of share. Yes, to know that to whom much is given, much is expected. He's here to work, turn around the place. Yao had done his. He was, while here, a fine gentleman. He has done his own job. Now he's taking over. And what that means is that we're expecting him to beat the record of Yao and pay us dividend, because that is our own palliative. Government does not give us any power other than to take taxes. Despite what has happened here, they still ask for their tax. So, Mr. Chairman, extend our wishes again to the substantive chairman, who is unavoidably absent here. We appreciate him, and he will remain our father until when God wants him to come over. He will not sit over our own burial. We will, when the time comes, we are the one to say he was our chairman, and that he has to enjoy a befitting anything that God has designed for him. So, Mr. Chairman, my good friend Mutiu, I wish you best of luck. And thank you for giving us, Bidemi, for giving us the opportunity to serve the larger shareholders. I believe they believe in us, and that's why they have sent us proxies to represent them. So God bless my fellow shareholders. Thank you very much, and God bless all of us.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Benga Idowu. I wear 2 caps at this meeting. I'm the National Coordinator of Shareholder United Front. The other cap is the Managing Director, Center for Shareholders, Limited by Guarantee. Activism was a very, very good one. I'm coming back to it now because docility doesn't work in this country. I'm not going to be terrorist, but definitely we are going to shake some of you in the corporate world. You are not doing anything that we expect you to do, people of this generation. You are not. First, I want to recall what Chief M.K.O. Abiola said when he was doing his campaign to come. He said when you want to treat malaria, you go and get the best doctor in Norway to come to Nigeria. There's every chance that it's going to fail. As he said, don't go Yaro before. So how is it going to do? But also most people, they've been talking. Now, Unilever, what you need now, I'm not going to be talking about financial. It's historical development. You have products. First, I'm taking page 0, Be Radiant. Page 3, you have 15 products there. Then I'll take page 5. What am I talking about, page 5? First, please, I want to stand on the existing protocol established by the first speaker. So I appreciate what he did to you. And then my appreciation too goes to the substantive chairman. Anyway, most of us are talking about what's it called, tenure. Well, you are forgetting that he's a king. Nobody changes king now. Nobody changes king. So I'm not bothered about all that aspect. And far be it, the historical perspective that you state here on page 5 to help, if you use that position very well, it's going to help our company. If you use it. But the board and management, you are failing us. You are failing us. How are you failing us? You need somebody as a managing director that can run. Unilever, you are getting all this hype, the product, the product, you dump it there, and then everybody will be talking at the inventory costs, whether finished product or raw material. Nonsense. It's a different perspective. If you have somebody who is a go-getter as your MD, and then you can play the politics of Nigeria. Everybody is talking so many billions of dollars or getting COVID-19 sanitizer, and you know you are dealing with the product that also product. Why can't you key into it and get your production line? That is another area I'm going to. How free are you to take on a new product that you can develop your, aside from the one that Unilever has already done for you? And you must always have the raw material. You are a trading outpost for them. You are not really doing anything for us in Nigeria. A trading outpost, when you look at the repertoire of the products, you are just representing what they do in South Africa, what they do in London, what of the one you do here. So I look at it there. Then, and you want to make money. You are in business to make profit. And profit means you make money. So how are you making the money? Then everybody wants somebody to come out from school now and then to be employed. You can only be employed when that business is expanding, but they are constricting. Then who are your competitors here in Nigeria? Which company are your competitors? What money are they making now, or loss are they making? Is this the same? Then I want to ask this question to the board. First, what was your first quarter result last year? What was the second result? Then at the third quarter, what is it? What difference do you make when you see this problem happening in the first quarter? What did you do at the second quarter to change it so that it reflected in third quarter and fourth quarter? But you come here to come and give me this. Then what has the board done? What has the management done to make it different? Somebody talk about the last MD, what he had done in Ghana, making attractive, what is making our company secretary now to be. I like the gentleman. He's a Ghanaian, and he follow Ghanaian principle. What happened to Nigeria? Well, what are you doing? I'm an apostle that you must train that any Nigerian can serve anywhere by following the protocol. Part of the protocol, integrity, trust, excellence, your talent, you develop it. When you have done it, they will post it to you. I think in this whatever, we'll say Michael Omolayole, you say Rufus Giwa. Why is it difficult for Nigeria to get? I don't want to replace it. You come and tell me, Unilever, you post it. How can Unilever know Nigeria better than us? But I'm not saying that the person coming here should not do. What will he do? He can only do within his own experience that he has acquired, either in his own country or in UK or America. How would I want to give it to you? You want to talk Nigeria balance. You are talking of UK, America, it won't work. First, what influence does our company have on the Senate to be able to make policy? And some of you are there. If you are there, what do? You can't. That is how you now reflect to us. We have our chairman is this, our director is this, that. They are making waves. There was a time when First Bank of Nigeria was dictating who becomes the governor of Central Bank. But now, when they abdicate that role, what happened? This is a common thing that we need to look at. Everybody have come here to come and somebody, you spend 100 million last year. Now, how did you get to 2? Nonsense. What have we expanded? What have we expanded? Then you must to spend money to get money. Then in terms of Radiant, the marketing cost to be able to promote this product, how will it be better than to promote Omo that people know? And Omo, if you relaunch it, what Nigeria are doing with all these products, if you put small one and it's forming well, even if it doesn't clean, Nigeria love it. They are not interested whether the teeth clean, but that it can ladder. That's what they need. Then in your research department, what do they do? That one is very, very important. I have a question for the chairman. I think the chairman would deliver it to the right chairman. I'm not talking about whether you are intelligent or not intelligent. Page 12. That one caught my attention. The chairman stated, he said that the problem, you have problem here in terms of whether internal, external, on page 12, that paragraph there, that there are problems, external and internal. What are those problems? I was thinking that That was the problem that made one of your directors to leave. I don't know. Because I know that the way we look at issue will be different. We look at issue and couple. And then if you are looking, I don't know. But I just want to add that question on atrocity. What exactly is the problem? Because when you have problem from leadership, what do you get? Again, sorry to Abiola, it's a rotting head. When you have a fish, and rotting from the head, the body too, it can't be palatable. So, I'm very sorry for not minding my language or being very vitriolic today, because the situation demands that. Somebody was talking from the Bible. He said the fool soldier, when he's wearied by the challenge, when the husband now come, what will he do? That is what I'm trying to do. I don't want you to come here by next year and be telling me the loss is due COVID-19 for anybody, for you. It's an advantage for you now to turn the situation around, this 2020. By the next report, you will generate, if you take what we are saying, one of the speakers has said, you turn this something, you can turn it to profit. I'm not an apostle of giving bonuses on bonuses. Why? When you expand the volume of the share, you will find the dividend too will whittle down. If you don't expand it, I want you to work very hard. The dividend, if you have been paying 1 naira, let it be 10 naira. By what you are doing. I'm apostle for the whole. But rather than bonus, whatever. I don't want to come here next year and come and be singing, sorry, COVID-19. COVID-19 for you. It's a business opportunity. I have to turn the company around. What are you doing with some of the products there? Turn it to sanitizer and whatever, and be selling. Give it to government. And then you make so much money. We will come and get from you, export it to US, so that they don't be dying every day, the way they are dying. so I really want to talk to the registrar. People have been saying unclaimed media, they are part of the problem. Why? When you get me, I have some dividend, they will be asking me to send email to put my problem email. Me. What are the people in the village now? Who cannot even phone? They can't operate it. They are not opening. The COVID is catching them. So, why did we get here? The problem, there are so many. And it's the problem of leadership, both in the central government and local area. It's the same problem. Policies without plan, it will fail. If you don't have a plan, you are just making policy, no plan. What to support it? How many this kid do you need? How many of that kid do you need? Then your goal. I don't want you to come here and tell me we don't make money. There are ways to make money. Your MD can make money. You turn your production line to money making by good products, by good reason. I wish you well. Please, my regards to the chairman. I wish him well. Igwe. Thank you.
Thank you all. Do we have any questions online? Okay, there is one question from YouTube, and it's only one, and I'm obliged to read it out. And that is from Emmanuel Okoro. And the question is, what is the dividend? And when is the payment? I think it's a very valid question. So, yeah. Any other question? Okay. I think we will now proceed to give answers to this question. And the way we will do it, I will give answer to 2 of the questions, and the MD will give the first set of answers, so that will give all of us an opportunity to hear him, see his face, hear his plan, and then between Felix and Desola, they will also answer other questions. I want to address only 2 questions. The first question, well, it's not really a question. The first thing I want to address is the general comment about the business performance. And frankly, I think the comments that I have had in this room from all of you, I want to assure you that the board and management share your perspective. We are all of the common view that our business indices were really sick. No question about it. And there are a number of issues that really led to that. But again, that is history. What is important for all of you as shareholders is to hold management and the board accountable for a much better performance going forward. And I want to assure you that since the 4th quarter of last year and the beginning of this year, management has embarked on a deep conversation, deep dive into the various revenue streams of the company, looking structurally at the cost profile of the company, and asking the right questions. What do we need to do about the competition? They have been asking the question, look at our revenue streams. Where is the sickness? Where are the bottlenecks? And even yesterday at the board meeting, some of their initiatives are beginning to show up as very relevant. We are not there yet, but what I can assure you is that the management and the board are determined, first of all, to regain lost ground of Unilever. Unilever certainly has lost ground in the marketplace, and we are determined to regain that. The second point I also want to assure you is that there is no doubt in our mind that Unilever has the ability, they have the talent to return to a profitable company. And that is what we are determined to do in the shortest possible time. And I can assure you that you have mentioned a lot of things around opportunities. In every crisis, there are opportunities. And we as a board and as management will not miss the opportunities in this crisis. We must turn it into our own business advantage. So all I just want to plead with you is please retain your confidence and trust in the management and the board of Unilever, and we will also do our utmost best to ensure that that confidence is not misplaced. The second point I want to address is the whole issue of Nigerianization. I mean, as a Nigerian, I can understand that sentiment. But one thing is clear, and that is what gives me confidence. There is a very rich pool of talent in Unilever Nigeria. And that for me is the foundation. Because we are just not asking for Nigerians to be given position as a tokenism. We want competent Nigerians to be developed into the kind of positions that we are all talking about. And having seen the pool of talents in Unilever, I am confident that All we need to do is to nurture those talents and be very deliberate in giving them the right exposure in the business, the right leadership training, such that in a few years' time, we should be talking about Nigerians at various leadership positions in Unilever, both in Nigeria and also abroad. Frankly, I have not seen any leadership team that is as young, as talented as what we have in Unilever. So I think that should give us comfort. And that is my own hope, that we are not going to allow these talents, to go to waste. So we share your views, and we will be a lot more deliberate about how we develop Nigerians in the company. So those are my two comments, and I will now like to call on Carl Cruz. I would like to call on Carl Cruz to give us answers to some questions. Thank you.
I would like to call on Carl Cruz to give us answers to some questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sumono. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? All right. I will assume that I can be heard in the venue itself. So first of all, good morning to everyone. It's nice to actually meet a lot of the shareholders of your company, of our company, and to please give you a brief background in terms of what we are really trying to do post the results of 2019. So let me share with you that 2019 indeed was a bad year. So there's no sugarcoating that particular kind of performance. Therefore, your management committee and your board is at the phase of resetting the business to ensure that we get back to competitive growth and to ensure that we come out of the COVID-19 pandemic a much stronger organization. A lot of the questions that were put forward in today's session earlier today is all about making sure that we address some of the issues that continue to haunt us in 2020, emanating from the performance in 2019, such as trade debt, overdues, and our cost structure. As of Q1, wherein the results have come out, I can tell you that a lot of our key performance indicators to set the business in the right direction and to correct the fundamentals, bring back the right fundamentals, are now in the right spaces. So hopefully, with all of the interventions that we are undertaking and all of the initiatives that we are putting to bear in the Nigerian market, we should see some light at the end of the tunnel by 2020. Keep in mind, the intention is to come out of this COVID-19 pandemic a much stronger organization. I will also reply to the comment about our brands and engaging consumers. It is very true that the result of 2019 was impacted by our inability to take a look at or maintain competitiveness in what we would call mass or mainstream segment of the FMCG industry. Therefore, we are, as an industry, a marketing-focused industry. Brands remain to be at the fulcrum of the organization. Therefore, we are going back to really engage the Nigerian consumer, to really find out what she needs to be able to serve her needs and wants. And one big initiative that we are looking at is a serious play, a couple of them in fact, to mass and mainstream segment of the industry. Another question was all about the cost. I think it's a very fair question. And of course, we are going to be ruthless in making sure that each and every line of the P&L is looked at from a cost perspective. And if that particular cost does not add value to the consumer, then that will be challenged and that will be looked at. In fact, we have recently undergone a company-wide program where we have asked all of our colleagues in the organization to put forward recommendations on how we can further trim down our costs and really look at activities that will only add value to our consumers in Nigeria. There was a question as well on Lifeboy and on the opportunities that COVID-19 actually presents to an organization such as Unilever